guess we can go directly into the J.J. Abrams Star Trek verse. That I think the best example of it was the most recent Jordan Lynn film, Beyond. What do you think of the new Star Trek reboots? Because I feel alone in like the original series, like fandom, that I really, really like the reboots.
Honestly, earlier when you asked me, like, what do I think of reboots? What do I look for and stuff like that? I think they did reboot it in a way that you actually can't be, I guess, offended. Like, if you were a huge fan of the original series,
a lot of people
there's no real reason for you to feel that they did this wrong, because it's a completely different timeline, which is just...
Yeah, the Kelvin timeline.
It's just a fantastic, like, failsafe. Like, we didn't have to throw away or invalidate the original series because we're just redoing it in our own way.
I thought that was really cool. That was a cool get-out-of-jail-free card that I appreciated of, oh, we're not following lore? We're not following, like, the established mythos? It's a different reality, guys. Like, I like that. I like that's the coolest get-out-of-jail-free card ever.
And plus, like, there was a lot of fan service in that, too, with bringing, Nimoy back. And having him
but I do kind of hold... I want to kick Abrams' ass for the amount of times he has to do fan service. I mean, The Force Awakens was 2.5 hour of fan service, like, oh, jerking off all over my fucking face. Fucking hated The Force Awakens. It's weird. I love the Star Trek movies, but I hate the new rendition of Star Wars. I find it, like, kind of insulting. Whereas in Star Trek...
My argument would be that Star Wars is probably harder?
Harder?
To do? Well, because, like, how many Star Trek things can you say that left a really bad taste in the fans' mouth?
Quite a few things.
Because the 3 prequel movies, everyone just completely just decides to say that they don't exist.
Well, who acts like Star Trek Enterprise starring Scott Bakula exists? Or, I mean, Deep Space Nine has its detractors. As far as the original series of films goes, like out of the 6 or 7 that there were, I mean, most fans only like 3 or 4. I mean, and William Shatner as a personality leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth now. But just to really talk about Star Trek, and also what I love so much about it is that Chris Pine is like the ultimate new, like, William Shatner to me. It's so weird. He looks like Kirk sometimes in the essence field. Like holy shit, like, you know, if I believed in Eastern, like, spirituality, I'd be like, this guy has some Shatner, like, inside of him somewhere. It's completely incredible. And huge fan of villains. I've always said that. Ricardo Montalban as Khan is one of my favorite science fiction villains of all time. Khan is amazing. Getting Benedict Cumberbatch to do that role, oh, fuck yeah, because I'm a huge Benedict fan as well. So it's kind of my 2 favorite things in the world.
I'm a really big fan of Benedict Cumberbatch.
I'm a huge Benedict fan, and seeing him be Khan, like, already one of my favorite villains is like, or Orgasm Pie. Like,
you could legit name the shittiest role possible, but then say that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to do it. I would be interested.
Oh, God, dude. Like, you're going to see Transformers? Benedict is the voice of Bumblebee. Like, I'd be, like, so down with it. It'd be awesome, dude. Oh, my God. That was so cool. And the Beyond. Star Trek Beyond is so good and so fun. And even Idris Elba does a fine job as the villain there. Whatever. I also love the Beastie Boys. Like, I'm a huge Beastie Boys fan, so the fact there's a Beastie Boys song in every single Star Trek movie for some reason is amazing. Star Trek Beyond has Smile Sabotage.
It's really weird because it's like, it is corny.
It's fucking cool.
But it's so fun, and you
forgive it.
It's almost like...
it fits the mood of the universe somehow.
Yeah, and it's not like they're doing it thinking... You know what would be really cool right now? They're like, you know what would be cool, but also kind of funny? Like, there's no way that the director doesn't chuckle every time that scene comes on. Like,
exactly. And now it's a thing. So the new Star Trek movie has to have another Beastie Boys song in it. Like, it's a thing now. And, like, I remember watching Beyond, like, really? They're not going to have the Beastie Boys in this? Oh, no, motherfuckers. that was the most badass moment of the movie. Like, it was like, oh, holy shit. I'm like, okay, so we'll get Public Enemy and not get Beastie Boys. No, we got the best of both worlds. Whatever. Big fan of the Star Trek reboot. They're so much fun to watch. Like, I even feel like just watching one now, just to have fun. Like, you don't criticize me for this, really, but you say, like, sometimes I don't want to just have fun with a movie. Those are the movies I just want to have fun with. And I'm more than willing and able to have fun with those. Other okay remakes or reboots are kind of interesting when it's done by the same director. Like Funny Games was remade here with Michael Pitt, Naomi Watts, and Tim Roth, and it's very good, but it's also like, it's essentially the same fucking movie as the original, even made by the same filmmaker himself. So, I mean, those are kind of like cheating. And then we get to like a place in the middle here where I don't hate Peter Jackson's King Kong. But fuck, I don't like it as much as the original 30s film. The original 30s film to me is like the ultimate in like awesome monster movies and like cool ass effects. And I get that Peter Jackson was trying to do the same thing, but we've discussed on this show that CGI does not age well. And if he was trying to make that some kind of spectacle for the CGI, like the first film was a spectacle for miniatures and practical effects up to that point, I would call it a colossal failure. And also, maybe the film was not self-aware enough for it to work. I mean, it's 3 hours of like trying to extract the deepest possible pathos out of a story that is kind of has a laughable premise to begin with. Like, you're supposed to have fun with it, not supposed to.
Since we're already on the topic, we can talk about either of the what's it called? Godzilla movies.
Oh, yeah. Talking about, well, one of them fucking sucks. The Matthew Broderick, Hank Azaria 90s film by Roland Emmerich sucks. We could just say that. We could just say that and move on. Never seen
Where it was just a giant lizard and that's it? That's what it came down to be?
Worse than
it was just
that.
a natural thing?
It was like, it has all the worst qualities, the very worst 90s movies. It's nauseatingly and overwhelmingly poor. Never saw the remake, but I heard it surprised me because most of what I heard was decent about it.
The new one?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that kind of threw me off was if you watch the trailer or any of the commercials for the movie, you would immediately think that the main... Who do you think the main actor in that movie is?
I don't even know who was in that movie.
Okay, well, what's the guy from Breaking Bad? What's his name?
Oh, Bryan Cranston?
Yeah. In all the trailers, in all the commercials, he's the centerpiece.
Oh, is it like a bait and switch?
Yeah, it's pretty much a bait and switch because he dies like within 20 minutes of the movie. And that is a spoiler, but at the same time, like, now you don't have to be pissed off when you watch the movie.
I wouldn't be pissed off. I don't like Bryan Cranston.
Well, it's just annoying because it's like they used Bryan Cranston to get you into the movie, and then they forced this nameless actor down your throat.
Fucking nameless actors.
Like, I'm not even saying that that's why it's bad. It just, I didn't think it was that great of a movie. Like, I
heard mostly decent things, which was surprising, but I don't...
I think the monster was done fine, but... And then it had Mothra, so of course everybody's going to enjoy it.
It did? See, I know nothing about this one.
I believe it was called Mothra. Right?
That's awesome.
Well...
I know that they're...
It might have been... I might be wrong.
They're integrating all the monsters into a new Universal monster universe. I know that Kong Island, the movie that came out recently with Tom Hiddleston, I haven't seen that. I think it cliffhangs on Godzilla, so far as I know. The Mummy with Tom Cruise is also involved in that universe. It's going to connect to all those monsters, yeah.
So they're going to have like an Avengers.
Dude, no, for real, they are. Like a Monsters United movie or something. They have big names attached to these projects. Okay. Javier Bardem, Russell Crowe, just to name a few that are already attached to these movies. It might be interesting. And
I want to say that I did hear something.
It's not outlandish. They did that back in the 30s, having all the monsters together, stuff like that. You know, it's not outlandish. I want you to tell me about the Power Rangers reboot, because I never saw it. I mean, I'm thinking I wouldn't like it, just on principle of the fact that I don't, like I said, nostalgia hits all the right receptors, but I don't like paying for my childhood twice and being sold it multiple times. I find it cheap. But is it good, like, on its own merits, like, outside of nostalgia? Like, would it be good if there was no Power Rangers before this?
It's got that problem of where it feels like it's shot in one room. Like, there's the school, the city, like, their base, and the quarry that leads to the base. And that's it. There's like 4 places in the movie. There's like 4 complete places in the movie.
But you kind of liked it. You said it wasn't campy enough.
It was enjoyable. I don't think it lived up to what you would expect out of Power Rangers. Like, it should be more campy. It should be more cheesy and corny.
But when was the last campy or cheesy movie you saw? I mean, maybe Guardians could fit this mold, but I'm trying to think of any happy-go-lucky fucking movie I've seen. Outside of Guardians, I can't think of a... And I heard that number 2 was actually, like, kind of sad. Like, even... Which I've never... I don't like the Guardians movies, anyway.
But, yeah, so, like... I don't know. It was... Like, if you took Power Rangers and wanted to see them more as modern superheroes as opposed to...
Oh, that's how they did it.
Alien Kung Fu fighters. I don't know.
I don't know how I ever saw them in the first place. Cool action figures is how I saw them.
Pretty much. That's what the whole point was, is to sell you toys. You know, it was during that age of, like, where every cartoon that was coming out was literally just to sell you toys. That's why Pokemon say their own names. That way you can remember what to ask for when you're in the toy store.
Oh, that's twisted. That's twisted. I love it, though. Hold on a second. Woo! That means we're going to talk about the worst reboots now.
All right.
We're just going to start taking massive dumps on people's favorite movies.
Oh, man, that should be fun.
First one, just let me have some fun with this. Red Dragon is the worst reboot as far as I'm concerned. The worst remake, the Hannibal Lecter movie. The original movie. It was made originally by Michael Mann, called Manhunter, starring William Peterson. It was brilliant. It was perfect. It was the shape of crime that never came. It was up there with To Live and Die in L.A. levels of fucking genius. And then Brett Ratner, the biggest hack in Hollywood himself, came and remade it into Red Dragon and just took every ounce of danger, intrigue, and philosophy out of both the Thomas Harris film and the Michael Mann original, the Thomas Harris novel and the Michael Mann original fantastic, underrated masterpiece film. It took all ounces of creativity and philosophy away from it and just vomited just stupid amounts of retarded machismo bullshit all over it. And Edward Norton got outacted by the fucking dude from CSI, William Peterson. William Peterson was amazing. I just want to say that. Red Dragon is the worst remake I've ever seen because Manhunter is one of the most amazing movies I've ever seen.
Well, I'm thinking about it, and I think when we do a future episode, we'll go into this more, because I'm going to try to get you to watch the movies. And it's the Ghost in the Shell reboot that just came out.
Right.
And, like I told you, me and Joey, we probably spent the majority of our night just talking shit about that movie. And, look, I get that a lot of people probably enjoyed it, and I actually understand why a lot of people would enjoy it. It's not... Like, if that movie came out and Ghost in the Shell, the animated movie, never existed, I would probably have rated it a lot higher than I do.
I do have primal base instincts, and Scarlet looked very fun to look at in there. I wouldn't mind looking at her for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, and if you... Is
that basically it?
If you want to objectify women, that's the whole idea of her
character.
character.
Objectify women,
no, I was making a joke. I was making a joke because, like, the way she acts in that movie is almost like she's a doll, because she's supposed to be like an android, and she, like, is all still, and she doesn't actually do human-like emotions. Like, she walks like she's a robot, kind of. Like, when she sits down, she sits still, like, the entire time. So
Scarlett Johansson getting paid to be emotionless. Go figure. It's probably the role of a lifetime for her.
Get body. But no, like, the movie, like you were saying with the what you were just talking about, Red Dragon, like, you just take a great film and you just extract everything that, you know, the hardcore fans love about it,
Right.
throw it aside, and then give it to the general public. That's exactly what this was.
Was it successful?
I don't.
It's bizarre they
100%.
made that movie.
I'm
'Cause
assuming
it was, like I already heard so much about Ghost in the Shell, like the original. So like they were fucking with a property that a lot of people already do like. Like it was a crossover success. I guess from Japan to here, it was like a crossover success.
Oh, so what's weird is at least from what I've seen, Japan received it a lot better than we did. We've been more critical of it than they have, which I don't know what it is. Maybe the cult following was more a thing over here, because you got to consider they did make a TV show out of Ghost in the Shell, and it wasn't a philosophical TV show. It was an action-packed
seems like it would be
crime
like
show,
Eon Flux or something.
Yeah, like the show itself was just like a crime show, like with action and stuff like that, more geared towards just her being like a cop, basically.
It always reminded me of Aeon Flux. I know I said that before, but
yeah, but
it's not a bad thing.
The original Ghost in the Shell movie was all about the fact whether or not she was human, and there was a lot of interesting scenes in the movie that just weren't in the real movie. Like, I don't want to go too deep into it because, like I said, once we have both seen it, like, we can talk about it more.
I just stayed away because it didn't interest me even in the slightest. But I should at least even watch the original, at least. You know, like I said, a lot of people talk about how good it is. I at least owe it to the original to watch the original version.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to watch that. I think you'll enjoy it.
And then I got the RoboCop reboot.
Oh gosh, that was horrible.
It was mighty terrible.
Oh my god, the original, like, even though it wasn't really a movie, I should have watched.
Excellent satire of 80s iconography, dude. It's amazing. It's an awesome movie. Paul Verhoeven kicked ass on the original. The original was a classic. All the sequels suck and the reboots suck, so it was just lightning in a bottle, and it was just that one movie, and it was great. Really.
Sequels horrible, man.
RoboCop 2 and RoboCop 3 are fucking bullshit. The original, like I said, just lightning in a bottle. You can't recreate it. It's an amazing movie, though. Now I have Planet of the Apes. So do you remember the 2001 Tim Burton remake?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I don't even know where to... Even if I should begin, I don't even know where to begin. That's one of the worst movies I can think of. Oh my god, it's terrible. That's just an awful movie. But I also don't care much for... it's nowhere near like the Tim Burton levels of bad. But I don't care for the rise of the Planet of the Apes universe they've been working on right now. It doesn't interest me at all.
No, I thought it was a little weird. It just didn't feel like it had a whole lot to offer. Like, you could break down that movie into a sentence and you'd be fine.
Yeah, I just really didn't like it. It's just really still uninteresting to me. Next is like a... Rob Zombie is one of the most talentless fucking filmmakers in the world. His remake of Halloween is just insulting, ultra-violent rape for the sake of rape. It's terrible. Yeah, he's talentless.
Talentless, yet successful, which is upsetting.
Well, yeah. Say the same for his music. He's talentless, yet successful. Like, I don't even... If I get into Halloween, I'll just start having a fucking rage fit. Because that's the worst fucking remake of a horror movie I've ever seen. Beaten only by maybe Black Christmas, the original slasher movie. Amazing movie. And they just turned it into some weird rape fest. I don't understand. I don't understand what's wrong with people.
Yeah, I'll never understand the whole idea that, like, I don't know, like, horror movies that feel like you're supposed to be masturbating during. And it's not, like, because they're sexual, but because it's just perverted.
Oh, I just know these filmmakers aren't mature enough to, like, deal with these concepts in the right way. I mean, I don't hate movies with rape in them. That's stupid. I mean, I like the Last House on the Left, the original Wes Craven movie is intense and completely terrifying. but the subject matter was handled in a nearly masterful way. Same with the original Straw Dogs. Sam Peckinpah's film has a very controversial rape scene because you wonder whether or not the person actually is enjoying what's going on. I'm completely, this isn't anti-rape. I mean, Irreversible is one of the most incredible movies of its era. I'm just against it when it's Rob Zombie like doing it to like weird gothic like undertones of like he's just trying to be edgy and he has no talent. Like all I see is like you're just trying to be edgy. You're just trying to be you're you're a talentless little prick boy. You know? And while we're on the subject, the remake of Straw Dogs was terrible. Oh, and remember in the last podcast you talked about how James Marsden, who played Cyclops, his girl's always like fucking someone else or wanting to fuck someone else. She's the centerpiece of that rape scene I was talking about, of it being like confusing about whether or not she wants it. So he's the ultimate like cuck in that movie as well. Doesn't do it as well as Dustin Hoffman, and Sam Peckinpah was a legendary filmmaker of action. You just there's certain movies you shouldn't touch, and Straw Dogs is one of them. The Wicker Man remake with Nicolas Cage, good for a laugh. He kicks so many women in the face in that movie. It's amazing. Like just fucking karate, like judo kicks him, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either.
The bees, not bees. So good. Also, since we're not done with Cage, Bangkok Dangerous was really bad as well. Most people wouldn't consider this next one a reboot, but I do because it was just so much later. Like, so much time had passed since Die Hard with a Vengeance. Then Live Free or Die Hard came out, and I consider it one of the worst, like, reintroductions of the John McClane character. I remember being in theaters, and they censored him by a gunshot when he says, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." They censored him with a gunshot, and I walked out. I was just so mad, dude. I was so mad.
Is that the one where he's like, "Oh, you killed a helicopter with a car"? And he's
Yes.
like, "I'm out of bullets."
Yes, it had none of the Die Hard appeal. It was just Bruce Willis. He wasn't even John McClane. It had nothing good. Death Race is also on here. That's terrible. Not as terrible as Rollerball, which is also on here. And
Death Race was... I don't even know if that... Like, I didn't know that was a reboot, but Death Race was horrible.
Yeah, just on its own terms.
I felt like... I grew up with... what is it called? Twisted Metal?
Oh, yeah.
The video games?
Yeah, I remember Twisted Metal.
I was just like, someone tried to make Twisted Metal into a really bad movie. I was just like,
essentially.
No.
And then the Lethal Weapon TV show that's on right now is a slap in the face to, the real Riggs and Murtaugh, my boys Mal and Danny. Fuck that TV show. It's nothing. The remake of Point Break is like the definition of just completely unnecessary. And what makes Point Break so cool in the first place is, well, the fact that it's just a fucking awesome movie. But the natural, like, awesome charisma of Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. I couldn't tell you who was the star of the remake of Point Break. These are people without personalities. They are, like, lifeless, emotionless. Like, they missed every mark of Catherine Bigelow's original, action comic masterpiece. They missed every aspect of it. Just so pointless. And for me, messing with Point Break's almost like messing with The Godfather. You just shouldn't do it. And we have the Conan remake. Another ultimately forgettable remake. Like, don't even know why that was made. I just have no idea, like, who they thought would see that movie.
It was bad.
I don't know who they thought would see it. And
I feel like it's the kind of movie you pick up from the $5 bin at Walmart and
exactly.
then, like, want your $5 back.
Yeah. It would drive you back just to get $5 back. I also have the Big Sleep 1978 version of the remarkable Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, and Howard Hawks film. The 1978 version stars Robert Mitchum and Jimmy Stewart, and it's just so boring and dumb and dull. And seeing that amount of talent come off as completely boring and characterless sucks. You just don't fuck with the original Big Sleep. And then The Birth of a Nation that just came out. I have to include that on here because I don't think it's right to call D.W. Griffith a terrible human being when he was one of the supreme architects of film grammar. There's absolutely no reason to revise history. Yeah, he was a super huge racist. He also knew how to operate a video camera like really well. He created 3-hour narrative fiction works in an era where that was just unheard of. 1916 saw Intolerance, which is a silent film with like 4 different storylines going on at the same time that all express the same emotional feelings. But these stories are like from different time periods, so it's almost like the complexities of Cloud Atlas over 100 years before Cloud Atlas. We got to give D.W. Griffith credit, and I just think this came off as kind of like a temper tantrum of a movie than a remake. We had the Total Recall remake. Remember that one?
I didn't see the remake, so
I like the original a lot with Arnold. I mean, I'm a Colin Farrell fan, but I'm a fan of looking at Kate Beckinsale. But there's absolutely no reason for Total Recall to exist as a movie. It's another one. We have so many on here that are just pointless remakes. Like, what? They're not trying to mine any additional concepts. None of these concepts are more relevant, like, now when they've recreated the movies or remade them. So I just don't even understand the point of remaking them. Like, to get, like, another buck? But these are strange properties to remake if you're actually looking for a quick buck. Why would you pick Total Recall? Or Conan? Like, why would you do... It doesn't even make sense. I know The Force Awakens isn't a reboot, but I just wanted to say that it fucking sucks. And Psycho, Gus Van Sant remade Alfred Hitchcock's masterpiece with Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. So if you've never seen it, just imagine that. And also imagine it like attempting to be almost a frame-by-frame remake. And it's just terrible. It's just so misguided. It was terrible from the very point of conception. Like, it shouldn't have been made from at all. And then Old Boy, Spike... I don't like the original Old Boy, but the Spike Lee remake will almost inadvertently turn me into a fan because it's so poor. Spike Lee, his ship has sailed, and he hasn't... Do the Right Thing was a very long time ago, and we haven't gotten a good Spike Lee movie in a long time, and he definitely can't direct any sort of action and make it interesting. So, sorry about that. Then the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake is one that, if we're talking about like this new rape fetish, I mean, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that's all that series of films are. I find it really weird because I think it plays on like really weird perversions of older men, of like the ultimate like goth hacker girl who's also a lesbian who like will probably fuck you because she's so slutty and like has been raped 1,000 times. It's just a terrible story to begin with, and the fact that they remade it, I can see how they made a quick buck, and that'd be a good property to remake. Rooney Mara is like pretty attractive, and Daniel Craig did fine in the movie, and David Fincher's a good director, but it's just stupid, just a terrible movie, just pointless remake. Again, but you know, you want to make money off would-be rapists and old perverts, go right for it. Then we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Tim Burton remake of the classic Roald Dahl or Gene Wilder film. Thoughts?
I feel like there's ups and downs with both movies. I definitely feel that the original movie brought to you the magic of going to a chocolate factory as a child better so than the new movie did. The new movie was too... I don't know. It felt like a commercial to a theme park.
There's so many things wrong with it, though. The fact that Johnny Depp modeled his performance on Michael Jackson, the fact that it was compositionally nauseating to look at. Tim Burton. Love Beetlejuice, love Batman 89, and I even like Ed Wood. But man, outside of those movies, he's always off. He's fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. And once again, you're touching a property there that's so beloved that like you have a 90% chance of fucking up, and like he fell directly into that 90 percentile. Then I'm Bonnie and Clyde because I'm a Beatty and Dunaway purist. Don't make movies about them. Then Evil Dead 2, which is a remake or a sequel, but it's a technical remake because they basically said like, oh, we have more money and we want to do it this way now. I like Army of Darkness, and I like the original Evil Dead film. I do not like Evil Dead 2 at all. I don't like the tragic comic circumstances under which they made the movie play out. I don't think it's charming. I don't think it's innovative, and I don't think it's fun. I think the original Evil Dead is scary. Army of Darkness is very funny, but I don't like the bridge in between those two thematic or narrative styles. I find that really cheap, dull, and just a waste of my time. And Fright Night. Fright Night's one of my favorite horror movies. Stephen Jeffries as Evil Ed is one of my favorite, I think, just teen characters and movies. It's another one of those remakes like, why did you even do that? And it's another one with Colin Farrell. That sucks too. Sucks for old Colin. But just why would you... It's just another pointless reboot or remake. I mean, at least it's not super rapey like every other remake of a horror movie. At least they kept their fucking wits about them there. But Fright Night's pointless. The Karate Kid with Jackie Chan and Will Smith's kid.
Yeah, that didn't really need to happen.
No, it didn't need to happen at all. And the entire Will Smith family, it just lacks charisma. Terrible movie. Terrible movie. Terrible movie. Pointless. Pointless. Then we get to the controversial Ghostbusters. The Kristen Wiig vehicle, who is a very funny lady, and everyone was very unfunny in Ghostbusters.
I still haven't seen it.
It's terrible, and it shouldn't have had this much controversy applied to it.
Well, the thing is that when you take a movie that has a full cast of males, and then you replace it specifically with a full cast of females, it's immediately controversial.
Well, I think it would... Like, people would have talked shit about it anyway, even if you cast a whole new group of males. I don't think the female aspect was really that challenging, to me at least.
It was the most controversial thing about it.
It really just boils down to the fact that Harold Ramis died, therefore there's absolutely no reason to remake Ghostbusters. It came off to me as a pointless remake.
It seemed pretty fast, too. Like, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that Ghostbusters was a thing. Like, it's still talked about. So...
And it's also a beloved property thing. I mean, if you take offense to the fact that that movie exists, it doesn't make you a misogynist. It just means that you cherish something from your childhood. And unless you are outright being an asshole. And, I mean, there were those types that did exist that said, like, shouldn't be in all... It's like a political statement of a movie, which I don't buy into all that shit. I just think it was a bad movie. Mostly because it was so unnecessary. Like I said, when Harold Ramis died, the idea of another Ghostbusters film, reboot, sequel, or otherwise, should have died with him. It was just pointless. Just pointless. And I don't have much hope for the upcoming It reboot. It looks like they're lacking a lot of the subtlety that even the original Tim Curry television miniseries had, where the subtext is scary because he's essentially raping children. It's essentially a story of a child molester, whereas in this new movie, it actually does look like the story of a monster. So they're kind of missing subtext here, which isn't surprising. I understand why they would remake it, though. There are certainly concepts in there that are worth mining, and I can't say for certain until I've seen it myself that it doesn't look like they're going to be mining the concepts that I think are still relevant today. And
no, I think they're just going for Scary Clown.
Yeah, I think they're just going for Scary Clown as well, where they could labor on the complexities, but it actually takes hard work, and you actually have to have faith in your audience to... People think audiences are so fucking dumb. I fucking hate them. Man, those were my reboots. I don't know if I have more. The Bram Stoker's Dracula with Francis Ford Coppola, I thought was a miserable movie. I do like Keanu Reeves, and Winona Ryder is one of the most gorgeous women ever. But, God, terrible movie. Francis Ford Coppola lost his groove after Apocalypse Now. Got it back a little bit with The Outsiders, and then you never saw that talent ever again. Same with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the Kenneth Branagh, Robert De Niro movie. Terrible as well. Terrible movie as well. Are we missing? I'm trying to think of other reboots or remakes. So far, I'm just shitting all over everyone that comes to mind. So I'm trying to think. Can you think of any?
I feel like Spider-Man's getting remade way too much.
Oh yeah.
I'm hopeful for the new one because it looks like they're kind of avoiding a whole idea of a reboot, and they're just going into just making a new story.
Yeah, I really didn't like the Andrew Garfield version.
No, it's like there's only so many times you can care about Uncle Ben dying.
Oh yeah, and I didn't even give a fuck the first time.
So yeah, yeah, and then like I think just about every superhero is being rebooted right now.
Yeah, if it didn't work 10 years ago, they're just rebooting it over again.
Yeah, because they're thinking, well, it's actually popular now, so let's do it.
And they're all, you see, I think that the superhero tentpole, or like the I think it's cracking right now. I think that at the end of, I think that Marvel are geniuses. And I think at the end of Infinity Wars is actually going to be the end of the superhero era of films. And that all these movies, especially DC, that have caught on the train a bit too late, they're going to feel the repercussions of bombing a million times in a row. I do think the superhero bubble is about to pop. And it's going to pop at the end of Infinity Wars.
I'm not too opposed. I mean, I could care less one way or another.
I'm not opposed. I'm actually looking forward to watching all these filmmakers scramble for the next billion-dollar idea they can milk for the next 20 years. I just don't even know what that would be.
I don't know. I'm definitely interested to see where it goes because, like, we plan to talk about, you know, popular nerd culture, if you want to call it that, because it's so mainstream right now that it's kind of just a joke to even say nerd because you take the meaning away from the word, like
you do.
So
it's more socially acceptable. Like, I feel bad for the old school nerds who are like out of their prime right now, because you can actually go to a bar right now with a Ghost Rider t-shirt and people will compliment you for it. Cute chicks will compliment you.
Yeah, but they won't know anything about it.
Nah, they don't have to. You don't even have to wear it.
Exactly. Like, there are so many people that I see with nerdy t-shirts. Like, today I saw a woman wearing a Punisher shirt, and I'm just like, how much does she actually know about Punisher? Like, what does she actually know? Other than this has a skull on it, and it's the Punisher, so that's kind of cool. And I bought this at Walmart for $10.
Deadpool shirts and Punisher shirts are the designators of douchebaggeries. I only ever see douchebags wearing Deadpool and Punisher shirts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really on it, like at this point, you could wear any superhero T-shirt, and I'm just going to assume that you probably don't know that much about the person on the T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Unless it's a character that I've never heard of, then I'll assume that you might know something, because at that point, if I don't know about it, then it's probably not mainstream. So, because if it's mainstream, then everybody knows about it. So,
underground doesn't exist anymore. We live in a new age. But I think we're at the end of this podcast.
Yeah, I think we've said enough.
Is there anything else you'd like to add just on reboots or remakes? I feel like we should have done best after worst, because now I'm thinking that they shouldn't do them anymore, because all
I can say this. Disney should stop.
Just stop.
It works, and they're making their money, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, enjoy it, but like, taking literally every successful cartoon and making a live-action
version.
Like, they're making Lion King, and I was like, okay, with the people that they were getting, like the cast that they're putting together right now, I was like, because they haven't really released that much information about it, unless something came out like within the last couple of weeks, and I just haven't seen it. I was thinking, what would be really interesting, since they're hiring all these black actors, I was thinking maybe they're going to do a live action with African roots, like as opposed to using animals. Like they're gonna actually use people.
Oh, like the Broadway play.
I don't. Ooh, I meant more like actual use like an African tribe.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting to me. I could.
Oh.
That's something I could support, is if they wanted to do a reimagining as opposed to a recreation, because I think what they're actually going to end up doing is they're just going to have CGI tigers running around, or not tigers, lions. They're going to have CGI animals running around talking to each other and dancing and stuff like that. And I'm just not. I'm not excited.
I don't want to see either version. The tribe or the CGI tigers. Disney should just stop, but like I don't pay any attention to that company, so I hardly know when they're doing something. I know they're making like Mulan.
Yeah, see, they're just taking literally every successful movie and remaking it.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that company much. I guess I'm all the better off for it.
At this point, yeah. Like, Disney definitely had its prime in, like, the, the early 1900s. When they were first taken off. Or, like, I guess, no, not the early, but, like, the mid-1900s, like, 50s and 60s. Like, when they were first taken off.
Age.
And then, their Renaissance, as they call it, when it came back with, like, The Little Mermaid, and then they started taking off with, like, The Lion King and all that in the 90s, or late 80s, I guess, through the early 2000s. And now they are seemingly just working off of our nostalgia, and it's a slap in the face for someone like me who loves animation and should be looking up to Disney as a company, but I don't. I actually hate how much Disney's important because of how they are now.
Well, even in their golden age that you just talked about, they were notorious for treating their animators like human garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it's believable. Like, I don't know if they have the same problem that Japan has, but in Japan, with their comics and their animation, they don't credit any of the workers at all.
Yeah, it's like that. It was like that.
It's only the writer and the main illustrator that gets credit. Everyone else is just paid. That's it.
It was essentially like the same kind of power dynamic there. You were a part of the workshop, and you were a cog as opposed to an individual vessel of creativity. But we gotta go, Kraig. We gotta do this thing.
All right. Yep.
I want to thank you guys for listening. Nightcrawler Podcast. Once again, keep an eye out for our sister podcast called Daywalker, which will be launching here soon. Be mostly the same kind of content or material. Eventually, I'm sure it'll be certain topics will be designated to a certain podcast, but at this point, that's all up in the air. I want to thank you guys for listening, and have a great day. Reboot your lives.
I'm out.
All right, let me press stop on this.